Alright, YouTube, last night it looked like it was just Fox News being retarded again, so I ignored it at the time and didn't make a video about it because I didn't know if it was going to be actual big news. But today the rest of the stupid legacy media, at least, is taking up the story that apparently actual sources, like legit FBI sources, not, somebody who wants to remain anonymous and who is associated with a friend of a cousin of an FBI agent, janitor, or something like that. It looks like the Clinton Foundation probe has gotten more virulent and is now likely to yield indictments. Now, who do you think is going to be indicted at the Clinton Foundation? Can we say probably anybody but Hillary Clinton for 1,000, Alec? I think so. The Clinton Foundation, the problem is, we all know that Hillary is corrupt. We all know that her hands are in all sorts of scandals. She embezzles money. She takes money from theocrats. She takes money from big banks, from Goldman and stuff. She takes money from corporate heads. She's a war hawk. She's sick. She's probably demented. She's got all sorts of problems. That being said, she's still a Clinton, and she's still a former First Lady. Now, unfortunately, that means that she's largely shielded from wrongdoing. Now, that is totally different from perception. Now, perception versus reality has played heavily in this election. I've spoken about this before. The outcome of the election doesn't really ride upon reality. It rides upon perception, which is malleable, it's ever-changing, it's subjective, it's human-made. It doesn't really matter in an absolute sense, but when you're talking about an election, you're talking about a totally human system. Animals don't get together and hold a vote on who the big lion is going to be, who's going to lead the hunting party, who's going to guard the nest or whatever. It just doesn't happen. So what's happened is that there's a little bit of a disconnect here. The reality is Hillary Clinton is unlikely to ever be indicted for anything for the rest of her life. I'd be very surprised if I'd be very surprised if even the FBI investigation into the Wiener shit, Wiener shit, I'd be very surprised if she herself ends up getting indicted for that. She should be. She should have been indicted months ago. She did break the law. She did so knowingly. The FBI said this. Comey said this up on stage, talking to the entire American public. They simply declined to bring charges. They declined to bring charges because it was a lost cause. She's a Clinton. That means she's a mafioso. It's a crime family. They're a syndicate. That's what it is. Even their own staffers that like them and support them and do work on their behalf call it Clinton Inc. They call it Clinton Inc. for a reason. Clinton Incorporated. Come, give us money. We'll give you political kickbacks. We find out that the State Department was in direct coordination with her on the email stuff during the investigation. Again, they're the ones violating the Hatch Act there, I suppose. The DOJ was colluding with Hillary Clinton. It's not really the Department of Justice, it's the Department of Selective Policing more than anything else. To the point at which the FBI looks stellar by comparison, I guess, to the State Department, to the DOJ, the NSA, all these other groups. FBI is now like top dog as far as having a shred of moral conscience and accountability, I suppose, which is really funny. But Clinton's unlikely to actually get indicted. But a Clinton Foundation probe that goes into overdrive because so much shit's been found. This is in addition to the 650,000 email investigation involving Anthony Weiner's crap. This is a totally separate scandal that just now is becoming large enough to rival the FBI's email investigation. We now have two major scandals with less than a week to go until the votes are cast in full on election night. We have two major scandals enveloping the Democratic Party. While it may not touch Hillary Clinton herself in any objective sense, and she might escape justice, she might escape punishment, hell, maybe she gets pardoned by Obama when he's on his way out in the lame duck period, which is likely, by the way. It's likely that if there were reason in Obama's mind to believe she would ever be held accountable for doing these things, he will pardon her. It's almost certain that he'll do so. He's willing to do that. He knows Trump's probably not going to do so. Or they'll try to bribe him and say, Trump, we know you're rich, but here's an extra $1 billion in your own private island. Please pardon Hillary Clinton. Just do it quietly. Do it under the table or something. Help me save my legacy, Mr. Donald, or something like that. And they'd probably get their way. Because they'll do what Fox News has already, by the way, been setting up people for the possibility that this will happen. You saw it with O'Reilly and Krauthammer several weeks ago. What were they discussing? Now, this is a top segment on Fox, so a lot of the right-wing viewers, including a hell of a lot of Trump fans, were watching this. So why do you think they covered it? Oh, yeah, Nixon, terrible, scandal, scandal-ridden administration, Watergate, gets pardoned by Ford. And at the time, everyone was upset. But it was actually a good thing that Richard Nixon was pardoned because it helped heal the nation. And they were setting up a precedent for the Republican Party doing what they think might end up happening in regards to Hillary Clinton. They were probably fed the whole story in order to talk about it. They probably got a kickback to just talk about this. Specifically because there is every reason to believe the investigation into the Clinton Foundation and or the emails will lead to indictments that hit close enough to home to Hillary Clinton to get her on trial. If that's the case, she will almost certainly be pardoned, regardless of the election outcome. Obama pardons her during the lame duck period, they bribe her or whatever Trump into doing so, or they just continuously shield her to keep her safe, even if it becomes obvious to the public that that's what's going on. The reason that they would do this is because I guess they're afraid of political fallout if they don't. They're willing to take the hit in order to save one of their own, probably in part because Clinton knows dirt on other people within the Democratic Party. You don't think she has dirt on Obama? She's probably had all sorts of people conduct secretive surveillance on Obama. She knows the ins and outs of the agency. She knows a lot of this dirt. There's a reason politicians tend to protect their own. There's a reason that this happens. They don't want them spilling the beans, essentially. They try to bribe them and give them kickbacks to keep one another in line. It's actually a self-regulating system of types. But anyway, the Clinton Foundation investigation apparently is now being given top priority. As in, it's just as bad as the FBI. It could be tied to the investigation into Anthony Weiner's device. It could be that all of these things overlap, that there's some sort of chain of communication between all of them. Now, WikiLeaks has already alluded to and pointed this out. But if the FBI, WikiLeaks can't, pursue a criminal case. They can dump evidence. They can tell the public what's going on. They can try to keep government accountable and involuntarily transparent, which is what we've had to do with the Obama administration for years. It's the most opaque administration in history. When he campaigned, he said, I want to be transparent. I want to have the most transparency. Well, you haven't. You've had exactly the opposite of that. You make George W. Bush's administration look transparent, and that's when the Iraq War began. But at the same time, you need to have bureaus and the legacy media in many cases on board with these things. Otherwise, segments of the public won't hear about it. Most of them will, but some segments won't. The lame streamers, the normies, you could term them, or something like that. That's number one. Number two, you need the bureaus involved to actually prosecute, to actually get the case going, to dig things up in a more official, paperwork-addled, bureaucratic capacity. It's sad that that's the way that things have to actually proceed, because it should be cut and dry. Hillary Clinton technically should already be in a jail cell. Technically speaking, she should. She did break the law. The FBI ignored its own general principles when it decided not to charge her. I don't know if they'll make the same mistake twice. But regardless, I have every reason to believe she'd be pardoned. Now, would this save her campaign? No, absolutely not. If any more significant revelations come out in the next 5 days, Hillary's toast. She won't win the election. It'll be a guarantee that she doesn't. Way too many scandals, too much dirt. She's on the precipice right now of being crushed out of existence anyway. I still expect that Trump's going to win just because the sheer weight of scandals weighing her down is going to make that last trough deeper. It's going to make his last height higher. It's going to keep her from any possibility of recovering in the next less than a week. I think she's toast. But if anything more damaging comes out above and beyond this, which is the Clinton Foundation probe, she is done for. She is no longer capable of winning. Turnout among Democrats that still have a working brain, as in those that aren't simply lifelong partisans or Hillary Clinton cult of personality members. And I'm talking about here at least a good half of the Democratic Party. Turnout among those groups will be piteously low. Some of those people will switch their vote. They'll vote third party. They'll vote Trump. They'll vote Bernie Sanders. They'll vote for Mickey Mouse or something like that. Meanwhile, Trump is coming out smelling like a rose. Every attempt by the smaller left-wing media, including non-legacy media groups that are actual leftists that I have honestly more respect for than like an MSNBC or a CNN, All of their attempts to denigrate Trump's support by reverting to, oh, grab her by the pussy or something, they're not working. It's just not working. It's not saving her campaign. It's not going to do anything. I have a feeling we're likely to see a hell of a lot of tears from the social justice warriors. Now, I actually pity them. Some of these people are young. They're actual leftists. They've been abused by Hillary Clinton as much as the alt-right has. So I understand where they're coming from. I understand why they're upset now and why they'll probably be more upset after election night. They wouldn't even be happy if Clinton won, because many of them don't even support her. Some of them will cast their ballots for her, but they see her as boring, outdated, totally non-progressive, and a war hawk, which she is. I don't know why they're casting a ballot for her to begin with. She's antithetical to your beliefs. You've got more social progressivism and anti-war rhetoric coming from the Trump camp. We've now gotten to this very strange point. And listen to this. Because I supported Gary Johnson for several months. I supported him throughout all of the Republican primaries and into parts of the general. I'm a libertarian. I generally appreciate libertarianism in the party sense. I don't have party loyalty to anyone. I don't have loyalty to any fucking politician. If Trump is elected, by the way, I'll be the first one to hold him to account if he does something stupid. Because I have no party loyalty and I have no loyalty to anybody in D.C. And the second he's elected, he becomes a politician, he becomes suspect. But we've now gotten to the strange point at which the Republican candidate that at first people thought was going to be like the next W or something is talking more about wanting to denigrate the power of the federal government and how D.C. is corrupt, the establishment's corrupt, the media, everything's rigged and fucked up. He's talking about that more than the Libertarian ticket is. Bill Weld comes out, defends Hillary Clinton. Johnson says, oh yeah, Hillary Clinton's a wonderful person, has done all these wonderful things. The Libertarian Party right now is led by a couple of total sellouts. Not libertarians. The things that they say, they have party loyalty. If you're a partisan libertarian, yeah, you'll vote for them. If you're an actual ideological libertarian, you've probably taken a look at what libertarianism means, if you know anything about it, and for some of these people the answer is probably no. You've compared it to what Johnson and Weld have said, and what they've done, and their massive deviation from actual libertarianism, and you've probably decided not to bother supporting them. If you're an anti-government, or I should say anti-big government, anti-government abuse, anti-statism, anti-authoritarianism, ideological libertarian, you're probably voting for Donald Trump. If you're a Ron Paul libertarian, you're probably already backing him, honestly, or a Rand Paul, quasi-libertarian like Paleo-Con supporter of the general notion of limited government. If you're a constitutionalist, you might be supporting him. That's why I am supporting him. He's become, ideologically speaking, there are many ways in which he's more libertarian than the libertarian ticket. I don't call him a libertarian. He doesn't identify as one. He's not a member of the LP. He doesn't really refer to libertarianism when he's speaking. But in some ways, he appears more libertarian to me, yeah. Honestly, the idea of antagonizing Russia that Clinton's dragged out, he's refuting that. I haven't heard Johnson and Weld complain about that. They keep talking about, yeah, we need to scale back the foreign interventionism, stop bullying other people around. But where's all their outcry? Where's all their outrage when Clinton's essentially talking about beginning a nuclear war over Syria? They say nothing. They've completely abandoned libertarian principles. Clinton is now bogged down by not one but two significant scandals going on to Election Day. I think she's done. I don't think that she's going to be able to recover from this. There are people talking about, oh, there's going to be another Trump dump right before the election. There could also be another Clinton dump. I haven't seen any compelling evidence that there's going to be a Trump dump right before the election. It's kind of getting a little bit late to actually do that. You're kind of already past the cutoff point. There's less than a week to go. Will it even make it into the news cycle in enough time for people to change their votes, even if it's a massive, monumental scandal? And by the way, if on the day before the election, a massive Trump dump happens, we find out he really is he is a total Russian agent, he's a pawn of Putin, he took $1 billion from some Russian oligarch and he's pledged to dismantle NATO or something, then I won't vote for him. It probably won't affect the election outcome, because other people won't even see the news. It'd be too late. I wouldn't vote for him if that were true, but I don't think it is. I look at all of the Clinton claims on Russia, on hackers, whatever, And I say it's all just a bunch of propaganda. If you can't see that, then you're probably blind, because I'm probably correct when I call it propaganda. It's just Cold War scare mentality. And Clinton, should she lose, and I think she will, she'll disappear into the woodwork. She'll be quiet for a while. The Clinton age will have died off. And I think the ultimate line, the last line on her campaign's coffin after it fails, will be no more Clintons, no more Bushes. Because the Democratic Party resisted a paradigm shift. They put themselves against change. They didn't understand that that's essentially campaign suicide when you have a massive paradigm shift occurring. That's about all. Peace out.